मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures shine forth in my life. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel the eternal light of our true nature in our heart, the center of our being. Let us concentrate on that. As one concentrates, one sees this light getting expanded and brighter. It becomes brightest. I see my whole being is absorbed in that light. The whole universe is absorbed in that. In this all-pervasive, intensely luminous, homogeneous awareness. All distinctions are dissolved. Time and space are dissolved. I am that. I am all that is. I have no desires. I am bliss itself. I am immortal, conscious, eternity itself. I am peace. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion on this great, unique biography of Sri Ramakrishna with our usual opening chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashvapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi Granante Te Bhurida Janaha. In this book, it has been mentioned before, and this is a fact that we can understand, but cannot really understand. Why I am saying in these contradictory words is because something, although intellectually we can feel that it is possible or that is the right way, yet we do not see the evidence in this empirical world, and therefore not in the empirical science you find an agreement towards it. And that is the connection between the body and the mind. It is this connection, as such we know, according to the attitude or the state of the mind, the body changes. But we see these changes only in a very limited way in our day-to-day experience in this world. For example, when a person gets agitated and angry, the looks on the face change accordingly, unless the person is expert in hiding them. If somebody is scared, that also can be seen by a change in the facial appearance. A person who gets elated because of some very gladdening news, the face again shows that expression. And yet we see that it is only in a limited way it is possible. It does not alter the basic structure of the body. But if the body is really manufactured according to the mind, then as the mind changes, the body would take such appearance, such shape. And this is not something that we can easily recognize. The reason is almost all means with the exception of something like Shri Ramakrishna, all our bodies are very rigid. Not much changes are possible in that with heightened emotions too. When emotions get heightened, some minor changes do appear that we saw just now, I mentioned just now. But a whole soul change in the body is not seen, like all the color of the skin just underwent tremendous transformation, or the face suddenly becomes very lustrous and emitting light as it were. We don't see such things. We do not see that the outline of our physical form getting changed because of the emotion. Our height remains the same, and the weight remains the same. Shape, size remain the same, in spite of, say, some gladdening news came. But that doesn't make my height increase. I feel elated, but that elation doesn't have that much physical impact. Maybe at the height of that elation, I may start dancing. That's about it. And that too, it is done mostly by children and so forth. The others do not show or are not capable of experiencing that strong connectivity between the body and the mind. But Sri Ramakrishna's body also was made in a different way. It is the body, as Swami Saradananda, for the want of better words, has mentioned, it is the body made of pure sattva. Means, as it were, again, we don't have the proper expression in our language for that, but something very much attuned to the conscious expressions in the mind. It changes accordingly to such an extent. It is so flexible that the outer shape would change. There is that incident when a statue of Swami of Sri Ramakrishna was getting made in Kolkata. That statue was probably the first statue that was made to be put in Belur Math. But because it developed some black spots, it was the marble that was used was not the best quality, and so it developed some black spots, and that statue is still there in other place in Varanasi, in our Advaita Ashrama Varanasi, that is still kept. But when that was getting made, Swami Brahmananda was invited by the sculptor that please certify how it is coming, because I need to know. I used the photograph, that very photograph that you see behind here, that photograph was used, but in spite of the photograph, if somebody who has seen him in the life very often, that person should certify, because photograph is two-dimensional, the statue is three-dimensional. So one has to properly make it according to the vision that somebody has, three-dimensional vision of the person, and who had seen him more than Swami Brahmananda, whose birthday actually happens to be tomorrow, so according to the lunar calendar. So when he was asked, he said, well, I don't know what to certify, because Sri Ramakrishna looked so different at different times. Sometimes we would see his height has gone up, increased. Sometimes we see that the complexion has completely changed. The shape has undergone change. It is sometimes so ethereal. All these things have been actually seen by people so close to Sri Ramakrishna. And so it was so difficult. He went to see after all, and then said that, well, you have made the statue, in that you have made that Sri Ramakrishna is bent in the back like that. He never sat like that. But then the sculptor said, with the common human anatomy, that, well, if you see how his hands are. You can see how his hands are with common anatomical features, the structure of the body. If somebody sits with his hands like that, the shoulders and the back is bound to bend. Don't you think so? And Swami Brahmananda said, well, that is true about the ordinary people. What you say is absolutely true. But Sri Ramakrishna's hands were much longer than almost any person. They used to touch his knees. There is a word in Sanskrit for that is used for, Ramachandra. Rama had that feature mentioned in many of his hymns, Ajanubahu. So, Ajanubahu means the arms that reach the knees. So commonly you won't find, even in most people who have a little longer arms, the arms don't reach that low, up to the knees. So, when this was mentioned to him, then he agreed, oh, okay, in that case it is possible, and he altered the statue accordingly. But what it shows is such difference depending on the moods, depending on how he is at that time, in what state of awareness, the physical appearance would change. In that Panihati's, that great festival, those who were there at that time, including this author of this book also, he said that Sri Ramakrishna's height seemed to be much more, because otherwise surrounded by these hundreds of people or thousands of people, how could he see above all of them? So his height appeared to have increased. So it is mentioned here, we were reading that paragraph and could not complete the discussion because of this very intricate point, that it is on page 665, after the second paragraph on that. After he took his leave of the women devotees, the master was walking in such an abstracted mood that he was not at all aware that the women devotees had followed him and then returned, and that one of them was still following him. Only those who have seen the master walk in that manner will understand how extraordinary it was. I mean, the walk, how extraordinary it is. Not like the regularly ordinary person walking. It would be just, to show how extraordinary it is. Somebody sees a ghost walking. Don't get scared. I am not invoking ghost or anything here, but it is, suppose somebody sees a figure, something like that, and walking, how will it appear? So it is only those who have seen the master walk in that manner will understand how extraordinary it was. It is difficult to explain it to others. As a result of practicing concentration for 12 years, and nay, for his whole life, the master's mind had become so one-pointed that whatever action he set it to, it remained there, oblivious to distractions. His body and senses were so well controlled that they expressed whatever mood was in his mind without wavering. This is a uh, one has to, use these words to feel it, friends. The words, the poverty of words becomes so clear when we discuss such things, that even though Swami Saradananda has seen it, he also finds it impossible to express it in clear words. And Swami Vivekananda calls him, and we chanted that just before the talk in the Arati, Chid Ghanakay, Bhaswara, Bhavasagar, Chira Unmad, Prema Pathar. So he is the congealed, congealed image, as it were, of all the different moods or all that appears in the world. Every single thing is, as it were, combined. That is bhava. Bhava means all different expressions and every existence in this universe is the word, Sanskrit word bhava, comes from the root bhu, means to be. So it is be. Whatever is here in this being, what happens is actually you can understand it when it is explained in this way, as I will be trying my best to do. But still, it is not difficult to, not easy at all. Not easy at all to actually feel it. See this whole universe, every single thing in it. It is really my body. Whatever I am experiencing, it is my body. It is all experienced in the brain, isn't it? It is all there in the brain. There we make a division. In the brain itself, this division gets made as this and that, I and world, but all of it is together in our awareness. Therefore, some Shankaracharya's works, that this whole universe that you perceive, whatever you perceive is your body. It is just as, are you I? No, you are not I. I is different from you. But it is your body. And now, whatever is held by the I, that again becomes the part of I. That is your body. It is reflected in I that you see. Means the impression in the eye that is there, the reverse image that is generated in the retina and interpreted later in the by the neural network. That is all I. That is the whole body. It is, as I mentioned in the beginning, it is extremely difficult for a person of just a very physical idea about body to appreciate this. It is an outcome, it is a manifestation of this software which controls the hardware. But the hardware that a person, ordinary person, comes with is so limited in capability, in adaptation to this software, that this mind does not get fully, properly reflected in our body. Imagine that the body is made, just imagine, of something that is very flexible, like foam or rubber, and then all the feelings are just able to express themselves there. Just as you can see, this is a very, very weak imagery that I am using, friends, because there is nothing better available. That whatever the colors that you have in the software, in the program that is put there, according to the capability of the monitor, they get expressed for your vision. Most of you, I am sure, with some old people's exception, that you have not seen a monocolor monitor. It will be, you will have to now search for such a monitor in the, all come automatically with the all colors available. It is, but first we had in our computer just black and white, black grayscale monitor. Then when the color monitors came, again there were the limitations. What will be the resolutions, how many colors can it express? The colors have to be there in the program, but then there is the hardware card that puts that pigmentation in the, I mean virtually, and then that appears on the computer screen. It is on the monitor screen. Now, even though suppose you have say 500 shades of colors in that program and in the picture that you have there, yet if the monitor is capable of showing only those few will appear there. It is nothing more can appear. So therefore, similarly, our these physical apparatus, this hardware is not capable at all of expressing all those things, only a little bit gets expressed. More something will just shatter our body, it will be a shock, friends. Sometimes something very unexpected brings a shock, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. I told you the story that a man got a jackpot, but he was a heart patient already suffering, and so the news was seen by his wife, and she called the doctor who was treating him, that he got the jackpot, he will be getting $5 million. How should it be told to him? It will be such a already weakened heart, and how will it be able to take? The doctor said, no, one has to diplomatically tell him properly with psychology, taking into consideration all that. So he said, I will come and talk to him. Now he says to that patient, hey Jimmy, how are you doing today? Well, pulling on, you doctor has kept me in a fairly good shape. Okay, very good. Just imagine, that you have to pay all these bills and all that. But suppose you get $5 million, what are you going to do with it? Now this Jim did not know that he actually has got it. So, okay, it is just an imagination. So he said, hey Ted, the doctor's name maybe, Ted, I will give you half of it. Now that Dr. Ted got heart attack and died there, you see. Because for that Dr. Ted it was real, that, oh, I am getting $2.5 million, wow. So, because to handle it is so difficult. A good news. So also bad news. Our bodies cannot handle those emotions. You see it after some famous football or baseball games. When I arrived here in this country, it was so new to me that that Red Sox, whatever, won or lost something, I don't remember now, at the Fenway Park. And then all the windshields of cars parked around, they all got smashed. Now what those cars had done? Nothing. And then I was told whether people win or lose, the emotions are so difficult to contain that you do something wild, start kicking around here and there. You see a poor car and then smash that car. It happens that you get upset, and then you cannot control whether you are happy or angry or sad. You want to do something. Many times one sees, and I used to also do like that. If I get angry and there is nothing that I could do, I will hit the wall. Whew. Now why? The wall hasn't done anything wrong, why should? But that those emotions are difficult to contain. You will go and bang your head on the wall or somewhere. No reason, but you do like that. It is sometimes, I have seen that it is, you just do something nonsensical because you cannot handle the emotions. The body is not capable of properly channeling the heightened emotions. Our body, this system is, what I should say, too rigid to handle the emotional upsurge that happens in the mind. Even with very ordinary emotions, when they get heightened, our body is not capable of withstanding those with equanimity. What to speak of those tremendous spiritual awareness that rises in the mind? Our body will just break down if it tries to express it. It just breaks down. That was Sri Ramakrishna's very special body, Chidghanakaya. That is how this body was, congealed consciousness as it were. And as the awareness changes, the body would reflect those changes. Not being aware of such a sight in anybody else. I have not seen in anyone, friends. Since I didn't have the good fortune of seeing Sri Ramakrishna in person, I have not actually seen anything like this, and I am sure none of you have seen such a phenomena except in dream or in something like that. But this is what actually was seen by people around. Tremendous, that as it were a cloud is walking. Imagine, cloud in the sense, cloud is very flexible. You know that children, they would look at the cloud, at least when I was child, because we didn't have all those video games and such things. Probably that was natural for us to look a cloud and then look that cloud. It looks like a cow. Cow, okay. But the cloud would then in a few minutes change the shape, and we would see that now it is not cow, it looks like a tortoise. It would change again to look like, say, a fish. Wow, so much difference. Here it becomes a lion. Now the cloud is the same, but it changes its shape. So imagine a body made of this cloud. It is that kind. But again, the cloud is like that, it is very soft. This body could be very hard also. According to the program, it will shift its appearance. Just unimaginable. That is why Swami Saradananda is telling it is impossible to give any idea of this in words, friends. So, his body and senses were so well controlled that they expressed whatever mood was in his mind without wavering. They could not play pranks on him. It is hard to explain this because when we look at our own minds, it seems as if all the contending thoughts reign there simultaneously, and the thoughts that are comparatively strong by habit run of their own accord, disobeying the body and the senses. That tremendous concentration that Sri Ramakrishna had. What happens in our case, Naomi? Naomi goes to think, because she won't get upset, so I am taking her name, that it is, she wants to think one thought, but hundreds of thoughts start arising and competing with each other for the space. Which thought would get expression then? A confusion gets expression. Our language expresses that when we speak, we express that confusion, because which thought to give expression is not very clear, It is not just one single thought. So many thoughts are kind of getting bottlenecked there. And so it is a common experience that since we are not able to, in an organized way, bring exactly that thought which we want, it is recently somewhere I had gone just some 4 or 5 days back, and then I had to show my ID there. And it was in my wallet, but there were so many things in the wallet. It took some time to take out that ID. Because what has happened is, out of these, say, 20 cards there, which one would come out? So, and then I looked, and somehow this happens with me, not a good thing, that what I want comes out at the end. Earlier all wrong things come out, and then unwanted, and what I want comes out at the end. So this is the state of our ordinary minds, friends. And so the expression is thus truncated, distorted. So mind is like that, body is also, it is too rigid even to express a concentrated thought. It is good that it is not concentrated, it will break the body. So it is therefore very important. Swami Yatishwarananda, in that great book, that Meditation and Spiritual Life, mentions that before developing concentration, one should develop character. I mean the strength of the personality, that is, can be called character, strength of the personality, so that it can withstand the concentration. Otherwise the concentration brings power. If you are not able to handle that power, it would be a terrible consequence. It will be throwing like an atom bomb or 10 atom bombs in the mind exploding, you see. So it has to be accompanied with great effort of building up the character, the whole, this apparatus of body and mind needs to be assiduously developed to withstand this. So this is, because of this discussion, I stopped last Tuesday's class, because this is an important point that we have to understand here. It has come before, and later also there would be occasions where it could be presented. But let us remember this, Sri Ramakrishna's physical expression and his mental attitude, they were so much in sync. Mental attitude, since it was always filled with the divine, the physical expression always had that divine appearance. But this divine has many shades, many ways. So all those would differently get expressed in the body. So it is, there are like the moods of getting identified with that particular form of Mother Kali. The body will change accordingly. It is divinity, but one expression of divinity in the mind is, identifying with the form of Mother Kali. Then there is the form of Lord Krishna, a child Krishna, an adult, a grown-up Krishna advising Arjuna, two different forms. And when the mind gets colored by that, the body would change. We have seen Sri Ramakrishna concentrating on Mahavir Hanuman. Now his body changed accordingly. Hanuman, being a monkey, has a tail, and Sri Ramakrishna's tailbone started growing, Now those who have been, just let me use this word, spoilt by thinking only according to the Western scientists like attitude. They will find it very, very difficult to appreciate. And one knows, if you study a little mathematics, all this science has just moves between these two rigidities, yes and no. Very rigid. They will not be able to therefore appreciate this. Whole logic gets built on this. Our whole computer system therefore gets built on this. That yes, no, current goes, current doesn't go, and all that. So therefore, this higher science is not possible. It is not possible for them to appreciate it unless they first understand and accept that what we learn in that physical science is imperfect, incomplete. There is a dimension that they cannot express, just as the person who only, not a person because it is a being, think of a being who is only accustomed to two dimensions, won't be able to even appreciate when you say thickness. What is it? It is not appreciable at all in the two-dimensional world. And in human world, three-dimensional world, as we perceive it, our brain is programmed like that, three-dimensionality. And therefore, without the three dimensions, we can never appreciate anything. Although it is, say, we speak of, say, line as a definition given in Euclidean geometry, that it has only length, no breadth or thickness, only one dimension. You might have studied it in your high school or middle school, Euclid's geometry. Only the length. But such a thing does not exist in our world. It has, if you draw, it has to have some breadth and some thickness, otherwise it cannot exist in our world. Now, there is a nice book, I had mentioned about it, that was published sometimes in mid-1800s, that Flatlands. It is given in the, to students in the course of higher mathematics and engineering, Flatlands. Good to read that book. That it is similarly, that we will not be able to appreciate two-dimensionality or four-dimensionality. It is, we are caught up in this three-dimensionality. What I mean to say is that apart from that, everything appears to be silly to us. But at least we should be able to have the breadth of awareness, breadth of understanding that there are so many different dimensions that we are not able to appreciate. So, this is a spiritual dimension, a dimension that governs the external body in this way. So, that is why we see that the influence of these persons, these personages become, it spreads in a very different way than we can appreciate or understand. What a difference between the constitution of the master's mind and that of ours. Many more events can be mentioned here as examples of master's abstracted mood. When the master left his room at Dakshineshwar to visit Mother Kali in the temple, he would go to the eastern veranda of his room, descend the steps to the courtyard, and then walk straight to the Kali temple, even though the Radha Govinda temple was on the way. Those who know, some of you might have seen, they have to picture that how it looks. The courtyard of that Kali temple, where Sri Ramakrishna's room is there, he would come out from this room. And this is what the author and so many others have seen, that he has the mind to go to Kali temple. And then he would come down in the courtyard, climbing down the steps and go straight to Kali temple. Although there is, in between is the Radha Govindji's temple, he would not even have that thought or a vibration in the mind about it. There is no disrespecting Radha Govindji. But when the thought is to go to Kali temple, that single pointed attention would be there, taking him just there. Compare it with our minds. Oh, I want to do, but shall I do this first or then do that? It is so many conflicts should be there, always. With Sri Ramakrishna, that was not there at all. So, he could have bowed down first to the deities in that Radha Govindji's temple and then gone to Kali temple, because we see that it is that would be a shorter distance and he could be doing both together. But no, we thought that the master did this because he loved the mother, that is Mother Kali, more. But one day he told us that is not the case. That and this is how there is this wrong expression that people use, that Sri Ramakrishna is Mother Kali's child, a worshipper of Mother Kali only. It is not so, but that was how the concentrated thought would just take him there. This is, he explained it, that that the master says, we thought that the master did this because he loved the mother more. But he explained that, tell me why this is. When I intend to see the Mother Kali, I have to go directly to her temple. I have no choice other than to go there. I can't wander elsewhere or visit the Radha Govinda temple. It is as if someone drags my feet straight to the Kali temple and doesn't let me turn this way or that. After seeing the Mother Kali, I can then go to other places. Can you tell me why this is? Look at that tremendous, alignment, correct alignment between the body and the mind. A thought in the mind is so concentrated, only a single thought is there. That is the meaning of concentration. Nothing else remains there. With that concentration, he has to just, the body has to do it. There is no choice but the body, because the body is the slave of the mind. The mind dictates, the body acts. That is how the alignment should be. That is how the sequence should be. That the whatever is in the software should get enacted by the hardware, expressed by the hardware, without putting in any alterations there. So it is his condition. Sri Ramakrishna's mind was like that. Just exactly that would happen, nothing else. There are so many examples to that Sri Ramakrishna's question. It was replied by these Swami Saradananda and others. He said, we replied, we don't know, sir. We thought to ourselves, why is this impossible? If he wishes, he can easily visit the Radha Govinda temple first. Perhaps his desire to see Mother Kali is greater. But we could not express our thoughts to him just then. Sometimes the master would answer his own question. You see, whenever I decide to do something, I have to do it immediately. I can't wait for a moment. No lag between the mind and the body. No lag at all. It just, we shall discuss this next time, what is all this. Because the clock is telling that today's time is over. So we shall stop this discussion here. Think about it for a few seconds, and then if you have any questions, you can type them or voice them. Yes, any question? Adam has a question.
Do you think that Sri Ramakrishna's immediacy in fulfilling any desire that came into his mind is an expression of the sannyasin ideal of never storing anything for the future?
Well, please repeat, my dear, the question more clearly.
Do you think...
Speak in the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Sri Ramakrishna's immediacy of fulfilling any desire that came into his mind is an expression of the sannyasin ideal of never storing anything for the future?
Never?
Never storing anything for the future?
Storing things up for the future.
Oh, storing things for the future. Not exactly like that. It is not that the sannyasin should not store for the future. Is an ideal which is to be practiced by all who go to become monks. But this tremendous concentration and one-pointedness and immediacy is Sri Ramakrishna's speciality. Others would have the thought, then they have to impress it on the body, practice for some time, and then a part of it would get expressed in the body. Not all of it, especially if the body is not tuned to higher aspirations of spiritual life. That is why we have to sit properly for meditation. There are ways that will be helpful when we sit like that for meditating. because the body also needs to get this new input. The brain needs to be programmed accordingly. It is actually it is reversing the brain chemistry. That is what sometimes it gets very correctly called. So, but Sri Ramakrishna didn't need all this. It was such perfection that it from the hardware immediately it goes to software, and from software it immediately comes to the hardware. It is all so well tuned, most efficient machinery. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
There he is, Abhishek is there.
Maharaj, so the part A would be that we have to use our mind to figure out the self when both are separate. But again, we are meditating, focusing the mind to figure out the self, but it cannot be true because mind is not the self. And part B is that we are saying the witness awareness is the supreme consciousness, but my question is, I can't remember the second part of the question. Okay, you can answer the first, I'll think about the second.
That itself, that expresses your question. You are not being able to properly put it. That is the expression of the question. It is very difficult to bring that. We use the word, like you like to use the word witness. Witness is only a very small aspect of this self or the conscious entity or God. Witness is only a small aspect of it, because witness makes what it means is a division, a break. Witness and witnessed. And in reality there is no break. So therefore the word witness is used only to show that it is transcendental reality. But this is the whole thing, and therefore the question has come many times in Upanishads also, that how can one experience it with mind when it is beyond mind? Yes, there are two ways of answering this. That make a change in the mind so that the mind takes the shape of the reality. And then it dissolves, it is gone. It becomes one with it, like Gaudapada expresses it, that manaso amani bhave, that the mind now cannot be any more called mind. It is in our ordinary this logical thinking, this paradox appears very often. Even in the simplest things, like there are those amusing, paradoxes. It is that Greek thinker, he very logically he has put it there. Simple paradox, that if you think logically, you will not be able to even go, say, 1 yard. Impossible to walk 1 yard. Because, say, you may say, no, I walk 1 mile. Think about it. To walk 1 mile, you have to walk half mile, isn't it? Yes, of course. To walk half mile, you have to again walk half of that, a quarter mile. To walk quarter mile, you have to walk half of that. To walk 1 yard, you have to walk half yard. To walk half yard, you have to walk a quarter yard. To walk 1 inch, you have to walk half inch. To walk 1/10 of an inch, you have to walk 1/20th of inch. And then thus there will be infinite steps. And thus you will not be able to go anywhere that could be the simple logical analysis of this problem. This is a paradox. Paradox in the sense we all walk miles and miles. So it doesn't tally. The point here is that there is a logic tool that we use has it is inherently a flawed tool. So what happens when you start your journey, actually next Sunday we are going to talk a little bit about it, that the journey you start changing the mind. When you are going somewhere that it happens that you are driving, your GPS shows that Yukon 25 miles. Then Yukon 10 miles, Yukon 5 miles. Then it announces you have arrived. Now what has happened? The journey is concluded. Now there is no walking anymore, no driving anymore, no moving anywhere. The mind has dissolved, as it were. So, yeah.
Okay. I remember the second part of the question.
Okay.
So the awareness and awareness, witness, consciousness, all being synonymous, but
not synonymous.
Not synonymous. Okay. But they all refer to that one oneness. But then the question is, in a lot of the talks, everyone has been saying that it is, after all, without the desire, without the will of that consciousness, nothing happens. So if consciousness is the doer, and then consciousness cannot be witness, awareness alone. If it is witness, awareness alone, then should not interfere or should not be the doer. Then why do we use such words if
there are no better words. You have no words at all. That is why this has to be understood with the first main expression that is told, that this is beyond the words. And still, therefore, when the words are used, they are to be taken only as indicators, only as indications. So it is sometimes in Sanskrit, our Vedantic literature, it is told it is like the Shakha Chandra Nyaya, means the branch and the moon logic. When somebody asks you, where is the moon? So the moon has risen, but you are not able to actually visually see the moon because it is obstructed by a branch. Now you point to the branch. Hey, there it is. What are you pointing at is a branch of the tree. That branch is not moon. But what is indicated is beyond that branch. You can see the moon. So the words are like that. You have to learn to transcend the word and to get to the meaning. In ordinary language also we do it, but there the scope is not much, we just, because the language is made for these ordinary feelings to be exchanged. The superior feelings you require then art, that you have to be an artist to express superior feelings that cannot be expressed by ordinary words. So, therefore the music expresses certain things, the painting expresses certain things that logic cannot tell. You cannot even put those things in word. Many literary greats, they use words to telling effects that you transcend the word to get those feels. So this is when to express the divine things, you have to do much more transcendence. Yes.
So, but then what is the answer? Is consciousness doer or is consciousness the witness?
There is no doer. There is no doer. Whatever you see as doer, that is consciousness. This is like the example of a movie and the screen. That is the screen doing all that is happening in the movie? No, screen is not doing anything, but without screen it doesn't get done. So, in that sense, you say. Any questions on the web?
Yes. There is one web question from Michael Doyle.
Yes.
Swami, I don't understand how there is a difference between a fully God-realized being and Shri Ramakrishna.
Oh yes, a fully God-realized person is not, there is no ignorance there. That is the common aspect between a fully, say, realized person. We again are using these words, but fully realized person and an incarnation of God. The difference is in the manifestation of power. One example that I like, that it is some bulbs, they have, say, 1 candle power, some have 1000 candle powers. Now when electricity enters both of them, now the darkness in both have gone. But that little 1 candle power will not be able to spread much light around. It becomes visible, that's all. But 1000 candle power light will be able to illumine a big hall. So that is the difference in the power. There is no difference between the awareness or the knowledge, but there is the difference is in the expression. Yes. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.